TNT, episode 14. Back with a very special guest, Amy McCluskey.
Hello.
Welcome to the podcast. I think it's a wee bit of a surreal moment for us as well, because we spoke about this when we first started the podcast, that we'd lovely to get somebody on of your knowledge, obviously come from your counselling background, and we always said that about the value of what you bring, and I think this is a good way to go down. We'll let you do a wee intro, where you're kind of your story, where you're at, and then we'll obviously crack on for there. But a wee thank you more than anything for coming on. We really appreciate you coming on. And me and Tommy said that coming up, that is that surreal moment. When we're trying to give a wee bit of value back and try to go that wee bit further rather than just sitting on here and talking shit every weekend. So again, thank you, and we'll let you tell us about you.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I always hate that question. You're forgetting, but so I'm an integrative counsellor. I have a background in psychology, so that's what I did at university. And when I left, I kind of wasn't really sure like where I wanted to go career-wise, but I actually met with a counselling psychologist, and she was like, "Look, you can go and do a doctorate in this, and it'll offer you the best of both worlds. It'll allow you to like study a bit more in psychology, but also do a lot of like counselling things." I ended up never ever doing that. It was so hard to get on the course, but I decided I was going to train as a counsellor in the meantime anyway, as like a stepping stone. And I qualified last year, and yeah, I've now set up private practice.
How's that going?
Yeah, it's going well. I was saying that to one of my friends the other day. Like, I get such a buzz of meeting new clients and learning more about them, and then being able to see like the change in them across the piece. It's just, yeah, really nice.
That's class, mate.
I think I'll obviously let Tommy. It was his idea to go down this route and really press that, and me and him get on so well. Like, we get that with each other. With my coaching, I always wanted to find that wee bit more. Yeah. And I think for doing this podcast as well, that you can sometimes work with people, and it might be the case sometimes, but throughout my coaching career, it can't always be you just don't want it hard enough. That kind of old, let's say it's a silly mindset, but it's surface area. Yeah. Rather than we want to get that wee bit more, because when you do start coaching people, you realise it's so much about the mind as well. And I think that's why we want to take that value today. I've seen a change I can't even put into words how proud I am of him for. So it's like you say, we want other people to realise that maybe it is these wee bits that are maybe holding you back. Yeah. Not for like your life's terrible, but just for being that wee bit better. And I think what we want for today is just giving that insight of what counselling is, and it can actually benefit you. Yeah. I think, mate. So, Tommy, I'll let you give you a wee.
I was excited to get you on. Like, we ran over things and spoke about it and said that this is kind of the route that we wanted to go down. But kind of like Tony says, we can sit and say, this is the right way to do it, you should do it this way, this, that, and next time. But getting genuine advice of somebody like yourself who's obviously qualified and knows what they're talking about means a lot more. Do you know what I mean? I just feel like, especially in younger men, it's so common to kind of sway away from this or hide away from the fact that counselling or any kind of sort of stuff like that will help. Mm-hmm. But it's just easy to be like, nah, like I don't want it. And then obviously we'll get into it, you end up deep diving into the bad habits and all the crap that comes with it. But I'm definitely interested, because I'm sure I'll learn a good bit about myself a day, probably.
Hopefully. Fingers crossed, that's the idea.
Obviously, there's going to be a lot of new listeners coming for this on Amy's end. Yeah. You want to give a wee background check on you, where you were, where you are now, and then I think we'll let Amy kind of explore that a wee bit with us. And
definitely. So about a year and a half ago or so, I was 25 stone. So within that time, we've managed to lose 10. We're kind of coming down further and further, which is good. But like, I've created so many. My life's changed so much. Yeah. Like, I really mean it when I say I was a completely different person. Like, literally completely different. Everything about me, my full lifestyle, everything that I do, my interests, even as far as like friends, people I'm about, and blah blah blah. Like, and no, I've said this before. No, in any negative sense, I still speak to all the boys I spoke to back then and whatever else. I just have different interests and hobbies, kind of thing. But I wasn't really a really bad spot. Like, I had a really, really bad weed addiction, as in, like, couldn't get out of my bed without a doobie. Like, it was so bad. I knew most takeaways and Bells Hill delivery drivers by name. When I phoned places,
Be Reggie.
driving up, my diet was shocking. I didn't realise how bad my mental health was until it got good. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was actually, now when I think about it, I'm like, oh, that's the fear, man. But I was in a bad spot, like a really bad spot. And I don't think that me or anybody really in my life would have thought that I would have got out it.
Right.
But obviously I managed to get out it with, thanks to the big man. If it wasn't for meeting Tony and coaching and like learning how to train in the gym, this, that, and next thing, I don't know if I ever would have.
Yeah.
Because it was just so different. But it was crazy. So it was. It's mental to think back on it. It's just weird. So it is now. It feels like a lifetime ago when it was really only a year and a bit ago. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
that is some transformation though in such a short period of time. But I think you're right. Like, I think people don't often realise how bad they're feeling until they experience how different it can be when they do a bit of work there.
Yep.
But yeah, I think a lot of people are scared to go to counselling.
And what I've obviously seen the change because I've been in it with him.
Yep.
In parts of my life, I compare myself to where I was maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago and go, what a difference in me. But if we weigh up Tommy's 25 versus a year and a half of training, the scales are still tipping in the side of there's been a lot longer of living poorly, should we say.
Mm-hmm.
But what's changed now that's made him, what's happened in his brain that's made him decide, no, I'm not doing this. I think you can give that.
Yeah. So when I was listening to you talking on the first episode, I was wondering for you if your weight or, you know, the way you looked or just not being able to lose weight had almost become like part of your identity of like, this is who I am, will not be able to change, there's no moving there.
Aye.
And I think sometimes when we have these sort of like fixed beliefs of like inherently this is who I am, I can't do anything about it, or I don't have the means or resources to do anything about it, I think that's how people end up stuck. And I wondered if actually then being able to train with Tony and seeing actually things can be a bit different here, or here's a way forward actually, like, because maybe you didn't have the resources but other people can support you with that, the same way that like counselling can support people to see that, like PTs and trainers can do that for a physical change as well. And I think once you've got that hope of, okay, actually I'm not as fixed as I thought I was going to be, you know, maybe I'm not actually inherently this person who just always looks like this, always feels like this, lives like this, I can have something different for myself. I think that's where people's like values and goals start to change, and then the more you start to align with those values, the more your life will change sort of in increments, and you'll have a better routine, you'll be eating better because you're trying to then align with the values of living a healthy, well-balanced lifestyle, you know, physically and mentally.
I own that, but exactly what you just said, I'm not even just saying that, exactly what you just said there is so right. Like, I fully believed that's who I was. Like, that was it. And I owned that for like high school, for like early in high school. Like, I remember when in like first year in high school, I'm actually friends with some of them now, but like all the people that were in sixth year and whatever else, it was all like a laugh and a joke and blah, blah, blah. And I was just like this cute wee fat guy. And that was the part that I just played into, and it just became my full thing. Like that was my life. Like, I was always the fat pal, the funny one, this, that, and next thing.
Did you get slagged a lot? Or because when I met you, I remember when I came up and seen you at our mate's house, and it was maybe about 7 or 8 year pals in, and you're walking about with your boxers on. Like, literally walking about nothing, and I'm going like, what is he doing? I think at some point it was about 10 degrees outside and you're out the side doing keep uppies. And this was you at your height. You were 25 stone there. But it was almost like it was a kind of the boys, Gary Lee, Barry, were just like, that's just him. That's just him. But I kind of seen it as he can play that part, laugh at himself, and then they don't hound him as such. But
I and no. Like, I got it for both ends of the scales. I got none of my mates ever cared. Because they knew that I didn't care. But that was the problem. Like, everybody
Yeah.
thinks that's a good thing. That's no caring is not a good
No.
thing. Do you know what I mean?
And I wondered as well, like, see it because maybe you didn't care or you were like, well, this is who I am. If that sometimes allows people to reinforce some of like the negative behaviours or harmful behaviours, because it's like, well, this is who I am, so it's all right if I do that or if I eat that or if I don't train, or, do you know, like, that's
Justifies
fine.
it.
Yeah. And like, I was thinking as well, like, without going like too technical, there's this thing in psychology, it's called cognitive dissonance. So it's like it's like a discomfort that we experience when our beliefs and values, so the things we really want, don't quite align with our actions and behaviours. And I wonder if for you that recognition, or just at the point of starting to recognise, actually I don't want to really live like this, maybe is what also caused like a decline in your mental health, because you were thinking, I don't actually really want this for myself, or I would like to change. But sometimes that can be a catalyst as well for people of like, right, well, I'm going to try and do something different, do you know, because I don't want to experience that discomfort.
Yep.
I'm going to try and push forward with something new, do you know, so it might have been that as well.
How important is that when you get to that point of discovery, or that you find something that has a positive impact on your life? It could be very easily probably easier for him to move on to another substance or something else, or feel it. He's obviously found something that's had a good impact in his life.
Super important, yeah. I think like that's almost like the most uncomfortable part. See, when you're just on like the cusp of recognising, actually I need a change here. But I always will say to clients, like, lean into that, like do a bit more reflecting on that, or question like, why is it you feel the discomfort, or why at certain points are you more triggered, or what's helping you at this stage, what's harming you, and try and explore it a bit more through that. But yeah, that is super important, like pushing forward in that moment, I think.
Nah, because I can always enforce that. And there'd be times where he'd phone me and he's like, I'm under so much pressure, this is so hard, and I'm just like shouting, good. Like,
Quite literally.
because I always kind of made that point to him, whereas it's just my style of coaching, or just who I am, is like something good's going to happen soon.
Aye.
And I kept doing it purposely, because I knew that was kind of, not that my life's the same as his, but I knew that every time there was pressure in my life and I got through it, I was better, to the point where he would now phone me and he'll go, something good's going to happen, because I'm fucking feeling it right now.
Aye.
And there's that, but it was the ability for me to look at Tommy and go, you're so used to having everything in front of you and taking it and taking comfort from it, and you're now accepting that what you really need and what's going to make your life better is further down the road. So we just need to lean into that a wee touch, and like you said, that's like an uncomfortable thing, and it probably doesn't get easier. The pressure always comes because you are now demanding of yourself, whereas before that wasn't there.
I can just deal with it better.
Yep.
I wouldn't say it gets easier either. I think I've now started, by no means, like,
Believe in yourself.
Aye, that's it. Aye, pretty much. Like, I just understand now, like, sometimes what it takes, and I understand getting into situations that maybe previously scared me, but I didn't know they scared me, but they did. Like, that is the feel. It was the feeling of fear that I had from it, but I always convinced myself exactly what you said. That's not me.
Yeah.
So, like, I should lose weight. I should do my steps. I should do my cardio, blah, blah, blah. Oh, but that's not me. Just got to chill the night. Just got to eat a bag of crisps on the couch. You know what I mean? Because it's like, I can worry about, I can do that later. But really in the back of my mind, it's a fear. Like, right in the back of my head it is. Like, this morning I walked up a hill this morning. I've never walked up a hill in my life. Fell right my arse coming down it. I belted it. Bottle of water went so high there, mate. It was so bad. But, and mate, I have always had it. Not even the heights of climbing. Mate, I can't climb a fence. I need to belly a fence. Like, I still to this day, I still need to, like, horror it and just roll out a fence. I can't climb.
That's going to be your goal for 2025. We're just going to see me and you running through Coke Bridge, practising fences. Never mind all the machines, all the fancy things.
Aye, man.
Me and you going back to our youth.
I can't
my
do that,
stopwatch.
mate. So the day I was like, mate, I'm going to climb this hill, and mate, I did not want to climb that hill today, mate. I was not really interested, but I was happy when I got to tap it, and that's it done.
But then that's what I was going to say. How did you feel then at the end when you'd done it?
Mate, I was see when I got up the tap it. When I got up the tap it was almost like a sigh of relief.
You phoned me grating, what are you talking about?
No, it was
Helicopter up, scared the heights.
it was like a sigh of relief when I got to the tap it. I was actually like, see the full way up? This is crazy. The full way up, I thought, oh, this is so hard, man. And then when I got to the tap it, I was actually like, I was a canter. I was worried about it. But the full way up, I was like, this is brutal, man. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this.
That kind of applies to pretty much anything. Like, it's story in your head's always worse than when it turns out.
Yeah, for sure. And that's why, like, see, doing things like that, right? You were like, well, I'm not a hill climber, I don't really do things like that. Like, pushing yourself out your comfort zone to try something different, that just reinforces in the brain that it's a new experience. So it's like, right, okay, actually that wasn't as bad as I thought it was. And next time you go and try something, the brain will remember that. It'll, you know, it picks up on that actually it wasn't as anxiety inducing as you thought, or there was a better outcome from that. And that'll allow you then to build on more. So, like, maybe the next hill will be a bigger one, or you.
What a weird one. Aye, man.
We obviously talk about that. I know Tommy gave his background. A huge thing we spoke about is self-esteem.
Yep.
Something that, like you say, Bruno, we're talking about ourselves, but we want to give a wee bit of insight of why people might have poor self-esteem and ways to get it better.
Mm-hmm.
Could you give your views on like maybe what people experience coming in and seeing you?
Yeah.
And what it is?
I would say, honestly, self-esteem features for maybe about like 80 to 90% of the clients I see, whether that's what they're coming with or not, it always will come into the room. I think, I mean, there can be a million reasons why people have poor self-esteem. Like, some of it can come from childhood, like messages we've picked up about ourselves, or we've internalised things, or, you know. But I think unfortunately, there's no like fast fix for that. It's a really, really long process. And I think it comes from doing things like try to find the things that make you genuinely happy. So not looking for external sources of validation. What's going to make you happy, and trying to pursue those things. Trying to work to align with like goals and values that you have will also improve self-esteem. There was something else I was going to mention there as well, but it's totally escapes me. And that's what it was. It was like pushing yourself to try new things, because that will boost your confidence.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like coming on and doing this is out my comfort zone 100%. But I can guarantee that after I've done this, I'll be thinking, well, I could do that again.
Yeah.
Or, you know, it's actually not as bad as I thought it was going to be. And that'll boost my self-esteem. Even if it's just an increment, it will still boost it. So things like that, but it's not a fast fix, sorry. It's like something that takes a lot of time.
Because I always kind of viewed it as we've all got a kind of moral rule book.
Yes.
And if you lean into that and do the things that you morally believe in, you'll feel better about yourself.
Yeah.
I even find that I think we're all born to serve in some sort of way or help people. Or if I do, whenever my self-esteem might take a hit or I'm feeling a bit hungry, I'll go and try and help people. It's my job to help people, so I hope so that I'd like to help people. But I found that as well was a really good way if you're feeling terrible, feeling a bit down or feeling shit about yourself, is go and try and help someone that might need it.
But also as well, that gives a sense of purpose, which I think helps self-esteem as well. Do you know? It's so important for people. Like, if you're in a place where maybe you don't feel you're doing much with your life, or you don't have purpose, like your self-esteem is going to be on the floor.
Sure.
Aye.
You need that as well.
Aye, no, I can definitely understand that and relate to it, like, totally. I never really had much, like, I had no drive for anything. Like, I mean, anything. And the only drive I had was for my addiction. That was it. I just wanted to fuel that.
McDonald's drive.
Aye, I didn't have, like, any go in me at all. But again, I know I'm going back, I keep going back to that, but that is, I've never really heard it for that kind of angle, but that is exactly what I was. Like, I believe that's who I was. That was me. Like, I created that version of myself, and that's just what I leaned into so much.
Yeah.
On being in the whole side of, like, it's no what I do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is really, really weird.
And you'll be limited by that belief, though. Like, if that's the belief you hold, like, that is, of course, going to... It's like your worldview then, how you view things going forward. The decisions you make are based on that, and it'll limit you. It'll
Aye.
100% limit you.
That vulnerability is something else we're going to speak about. For you to sit here, for us to start the podcast, for Tommy to walk in for his first session, for anything requires a wee bit of vulnerability. For anyone listening to this that wants to make a positive change in their life that they know maybe not admitted, or they know they want to improve on, they're going to need to be vulnerable.
Oh, yeah.
What is it? What does it take?
A huge amount of strength, for sure. Vulnerability for me is, it's an openness, but it's more like an openness that's got, like, there's a bit of risk there. Because it's like, how will you be received? Or how will someone respond to this piece of me that I'm showing? I think it's been like totally authentic. I don't know. What do you see it as? Because that's my view. Because I'm a counsellor. Do you know?
My view on vulnerability is, as a guy, I tell you something knowing that you might judge me on it, but you don't. Well, that's obviously for your end.
Mm-hmm.
So I take that chance with it. So I'm being vulnerable. It's not, to me, it's not sitting crying or doing things like that. I don't see that as vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
In this way, I think that's got its own stage. Vulnerability means I tell you something new. But the option that you can judge me, if you don't, well, in my situations where I feel somebody tells me that I'm, that's what I'm looking for. If they can be, I'm getting vulnerable now. If you tell me something and I choose not to say something back that might make you feel poorly about it, I'm doing my job. As well as that, I tend to now say something back to them so that they can, so there's a relationship build it.
Mm-hmm.
Me being vulnerable to someone can only make your relationship better.
Yeah, I would say so. Because I think also, like, you can model that for people as well. So, like, being a bit more open or sharing a part of yourself, it models for other people that actually it's okay to do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that thing of, like, I'm okay, you're okay. So, like, we can do this, together. It's all right for you to show me that 'cause I've done it for you.
I always find it's a really good filter to work out who's not to be in your life or who really does care for you. We spoke about this before, like the kind of, you tell somebody something and they use it against you.
Yeah.
Or that whole, like, told you so. Like that.
Yeah.
Rather than my best friends in the world now, like, share my pain.
Mm-hmm.
Or they want to help me through it. I think that's come from me being vulnerable to them.
Yeah.
Anyone that I've found didn't have that same opinion back, like, they're not in my life anymore.
Right.
To the point where, not that I'd hate on them or anything like that, but they're definitely at a distance now because I've seen that you really don't, I don't see you as caring the way that I would care for you. So I take a step back for there.
I suppose, like, the thought I was having in response to that, but again, this is, I think, a counselling thing in me of, like, I can appreciate that 100%. Like, you don't want people in your life who are not going to be caring and support you. But also, I think from working with lots of different people, I don't think people are always aware of the response that they have.
Mm-hmm.
So I try and not take things as personally now because I'm sometimes like, that person just doesn't have the same level maybe of self-awareness as I do. And I can actually maybe see where for them that response felt okay. It didn't sit right with me, but they don't know that, and you're having to meet people, I suppose, at the stage they're at. But I can also appreciate what you're saying. I think you also have the choice of who you have in your life, and you want to have people who are going to be able to support you and hold the space for you to be vulnerable and things. Yeah.
Aye, nah, I can get that, man. I just feel like I always relate vulnerability to, like, embarrassment almost, kinda. I don't know if that's weird or no, but, like, it takes me a lot to get embarrassed. I really mean that. Like, it actually does. Like, there's very few things that I would be, like, affronted. But even if something came up that I thought could slightly embarrass me, usually 9 times out of 10 I talk myself out of it.
Yep.
Which is, I don't know if it's like a coping mechanism from when I was heavier, because it was like, again, this is me, this is who I am. Like, shit like this happens to me. Like, the whole, when you came down that day and you see me cutting about the garden with my bockies on, like, but, like, I know some of my pals, and rightfully so, that's their thing. Like, if they don't want to, I mean, not a lot of boys want to cut about with their bockies on at one day and you've got the back and they keep you up, but, like, especially know somebody that's a big lard ass, man. But it's just like, that didn't embarrass me. But when stuff does, like, kind of borderline start to embarrass me, I start to get, like, really on the defensive of it. And I noticed myself doing it. Like, I noticed myself doing it the other night, and I was like, why am I so touched by that? Like, why do I feel vulnerable towards that? Like, breathe, man. Chill
Is that
out.
because it's a trigger to him then?
Yeah, I sometimes think there's shame attached to vulnerability, and I think one of the responses that people, like, will often have to shame it is to get defensive, like, towards others, or
I can understand
because
that.
it's like like, we all experience shame, but like it's so distressing at times, and we
Aye.
don't even realise that's what we're experiencing. And I think, because I do that as well.
Right.
Of like, if I feel a wee bit like, if I feel shame about something, whether I should experience it or not, I sometimes will get a bit defensive, or I'll put it back in the other person, or you know. And I think that's just a, like you said, a coping thing. It's like to protect you.
Yep.
So yeah, 100%.
That's strange, man. So I'm no. I think feeling vulnerable about your mates is one of the best things you can do and on now. Like, and it's something that I never ever did do.
Like I maybe said to you about it filters out who really cares for you.
Aye.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably my kind of thing me on it. It's allowed me to see like who will respect me when I'm good, respect me when I'm bad.
Yeah.
And I think that was obviously my kind of take on it. But no, you're right.
I had a few things that I wanted to ask you, just kind of in correlation to the way that I was, and if there's people in my position that are like me, if it could help them. But like, I used to, and I mean, I don't mean like have an extra biscuit or two. Like, I mean a packet or 10. Like, I used to overindulge in food by such a huge amount every day. Like, not even knowing that I was doing it. Like, as in, like, mate, I'm not even kidding when I say it could be record holding. Like, I'm being so serious. It was absurd the amount of food that I used to eat. Like, I used to buy spicy rings by the box and tan them in like a week. And it is funny to look at now, but you're talking like 40 bags of crisps. Like,
Yeah.
and that's no like that. That's just
That's just a
that's just starter, man. That's just like the wee side salad and have everything else. But overindulging in food, so-called comfort food.
Yeah.
What is that? Like, what? Why does that feel, for me, why did that feel so not even good? Because I know what good feels like now, but I didn't know what good felt like then.
Yeah.
So what was so comforting about it? Why was I attached to that so much, do you think? Like,
It could, I mean, again, 100 reasons, but it could be like your relationship with food that you developed from a young age, or
Right.
it could be that in times of like discomfort, like when we eat food we get like a dopamine hit, we
Yep.
get like the good brain chemicals, like,
yep.
so possibly for you that became a way of seeking that quickly without much like effort, and I suppose like you can end up in a cycle where you are feeling bad, so you eat the foods to feel better, to get that dopamine hit. You ultimately will feel worse because there'll be a bit of guilt there on maybe I shouldn't have ate 40 bags of crisps. And then
So 40.
That's brilliant.
and then you're back at the top of the cycle of,
Yep.
oh, I'm feeling bad, I'll eat more food. You know, and I think sometimes it becomes a coping for people, but it's just not a very healthy one. You know, so it's like maybe you didn't have other coping strategies at that time, so the food became something that gave you a bit of relief, a bit of comfort, even for a brief period.
I feel like my addiction with weed is almost exactly that too. Like, the way you explained that is almost, now is my theory
Yeah.
of why I smoke. Because like, it was like a coping thing, but I don't, it's so hard to like, I've never really spoke about it that much or in depth or anything, but it was like really bad, like really, really bad, as in like, I used to do this all the time. So I've had the most amount of jobs ever. Like, honestly, I have worked in like 1,000 places. Like, and I used to work in places for like 2 days and be like, nah, man, get like 60 quid, man, at the end of the week for it, and then never go back, right? But
Spend on 40 bags of crisps.
but when I wasn't working like in between the periods, I would just be doing nothing. Like, I'd just be playing the PlayStation all night and blah blah blah, whatever else. And I used to get up in the morning, and every morning I used to get up, I used to be like, if I never had any weed to smoke, I would be fuming, like really angry. And I feel terrible for this now, but I was always really, really close. I still am like really close with my mum, and I used to always argue with her in the morning, and it'd be like the stupidest stuff. Like, go down the stair for a rolling sausage and there are no rolls. The fuck, man, why is there no rolls? And get pure raging about it, like actually really beat up. But as soon as I smoked a joint, I would be fine. That'd be me. It's like, oh, there he's back, blah blah blah, and I was so cool with that. But that cycle then started to come for the morning, and it led into the afternoon, and then it got to the point, I remember one of your mates, I used to go out and hang about with him all the time, and he stopped hanging about me, because he's like, mate, you can't come out and like, so it'd be like, we're going for a scram, say we're going to dinner at 7, he's about to leave at 6, I'm like, oh no, I need to smoke a joint before I go, and he's like, mate, what are you talking about? We've got to be stinking, we've got to be late, this, that, next time, he's like, no, I need to. Be like, what, why? And he proper was like, I'm raging, like I want to stop doing this, I can't be fucked with anymore. But it was so bad, and it was like a coping strategy constantly, every time. It was like, I need this. But the difference with food and that is that, like, with the food, I did feel guilt. Obviously, I felt guilt, but nowhere near as bad as that. Like, I really knew I shouldn't have been doing that, but it was so much worse. Like, as in, my situation with food would differ, whereas with that, it was permanent. Like, I had to have that, and it had to be like that for years, every day, for years and years and years. I couldn't go through it. Whereas I had weight fluctuations. I was up and down. Some weeks I only ate 20 bags of crisps instead of 40. Like, do you know what I mean? I never really bothered that much, but when it came to that, it was a full different thing.
Obviously, that level of dependency's terrifying.
Yeah, of course.
And I think what we want to, that's not him now. So what, you could probably explain it a lot better than I would. It's what's happened in his brain, that's just, because it's obviously, that was ingrained in him back then, and now it's not even a thing. Well, at least I hope it's not.
No, it's not. Years, man. I've not smoked in years.
So what has happened in Tommy's brain?
Well, I mean, in terms of like the actual neuroscience, I have no idea. But when I was talking about that cycle there, that is actually called like the cycle of like behaviour change. And it's often used actually with like addictions and things like that to help people understand. So when you get to that point of distress, when you're like, right, I need to get that thing I'm using for coping, whether it's like smoking or whether it's eating, whatever it is, at that point, that's where people should opt for something different.
Okay.
Because it does that thing where you start to form new neural pathways of, okay, here's an alternative for coping that actually maybe kind of worked for me. Maybe not, didn't decrease the distress maybe as much as my original coping strategy, but I didn't feel maybe half as much guilt after I did that. And I don't know, like for you, was that something that you tried? Did you gradually try and decrease that? Did you gradually try and use other things at times to help you cope? Was the gym a substitute for?
Eventually, Eventually, that became this substitute till it wasn't a substitute anymore. It was like I just kind of said, that was permanent. That was like, I didn't know what, this sounds like maybe a bit cliche or cringe or whatever. I didn't know what happiness was. I always thought I was happy when I was stoned lying in my bed with a Chinese. I always thought that was happiness. Like, I thought that was me and my thing, me, but it wasn't. And it wasn't until like I started.
Find a woman that looks at you the way that Tommy looks at his Chinese.
It wasn't until I found like training and all that kind of stuff where I started to like my soul just felt on fire. Like I just felt so good all the time, especially in the beginning. And it went again, like, it's never been about appearance for me. Like, don't get me wrong, great, I'm buzzing that I have low weight and I look better and blah 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 and whatever else, but it is, I really, really mean it from my heart. It's never been the case. It wasn't the case when I was cutting about my bockies up my arse when I was 25 stone, and it isn't the case now. Like, I don't care. I've got blue paint on my hands a day because I'm painting a fence the other day. That's what I mean, man. I've tried to wash it, but it's just like a laugh. Don't worry. No been for a shower. But substitute wise, no, it was always green. Like, it was always, I need to smoke joints, I need to smoke weed and whatever else. But I think, again, for younger people in general, it's what attaches to that.
Yeah, what function is it serving for you?
Aye, because like I'm smoking weed, but also I'm now part of this sort of cool lifestyle that you see in social media, and people are talking about like we'll not even get into that, but there's like a full culture, as you can imagine, obviously. And don't get me wrong, I do think it is beneficial to the right people. Obviously, it's been passed for medical use now in the UK and stuff like that, and I'm not in any means against it in any way whatsoever. Just for me, I was using it for the complete wrong reasons. Yeah. But it was so easy. Sometimes I was attached more to the culture / lifestyle than I was the product. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I see it with the gym sometimes with some people, like, and again, there's nothing wrong with it because it's a healthy habit. Yeah. Sometimes people are more attached to the, like we spoke about the other week, with like the kind of running club idea with some things, like
I want to be part of something that, so people accept me.
It validates me on social media. Yeah. That's it. And that was part of the weed thing, definitely.
Sure, but I think that's one of the big things. Like, we're all seeking connection. Like, whether we realise it or not, that is one of the big driving forces for people. And I think, so maybe for that, it was like, I want to feel part of something and this is now going to become part of my identity, and it's who I am. and I think that can be positive or it can be negative.
Yep.
But I think, yeah, like what you were saying there was like trying to understand, or for people trying to understand, like, well, what function is that serving for me? Like, why is it that I need that to cope?
Yep.
And I think that is actually, that point of exploration is actually where you can begin to change habits if you start to look into that a bit more.
Right.
And in terms then of like what was actually going on for you, I'm gonna guess that possibly when you started to use other things and you realised how good that felt, there was less reliance on other things because the sort of emotional regulation that you were getting off these new habits was way better than the old coping habits. You know? But yeah, I think a lot of the time people are using things like that to help them regulate because they feel so distressed and they have no other way of managing it.
Aye.
And with me, us, like you say, we all crave that connection. I've said before on this, like I would say it's impossible to connect with somebody else if you're unconnected from yourself. But we speak a lot. We've done this social media section on one of our podcasts, and that's probably what we want to kind of move on to just now with you, the detrimental damages of that, long-term, short-term. I think first of all, just like, what's your take on social media now, the influence it's have? Right now we're sitting talking about social media, and it's positive. This is going to go on social media. It's got some really good positives.
Aye.
But with the way the world is just now, there's a lot of negatives. There's a lot of people leaning in, maybe craving that connection or craving something else, or the validation from this. But what are the short-term damages, the long-term damages to maybe people giving too much of their time to something that essentially isn't real? Yeah.
I think like you said, there's definitely positives to social media. Like I'm not even like dead against it or anything like that. I do think it's done a lot for people in terms of like spreading awareness, sharing information, making connections, that sort of thing. I think where it's damaging is more the lifestyle that people are putting out on social media that feels unachievable or unattainable for people. And that, like long and short term, if you're consuming that frequently, it can have a negative impact on your self-esteem, your self-worth, your identity. For some people, they're like, I think they become so consumed by things that they see on social media or trends or who they're aspiring to be like influencer wise, that they sort of lose themselves. And I think that can have a real negative impact on mental health, because when you're not even really sure about who you are, it's back to that thing of like values and goals. I know I've said that a couple of times, but it's so important. Like, who really are you at your core? What is important to you? And if you're finding that all the time in external things and you're maybe unable to get it, like validation on social media and things, you will feel the negative impact of that, 100%.
What do you think? The way, obviously, you put stuff on social media now. I always say be aware when you go on it. Watch for people that, again, aren't qualified or shouldn't. Like, also, it comes down to that's their personal experience. Like you said, a lot of it's fiction. A lot of it's just can't be achieved. We look at guys or women that are not even 1% of the world. People that how do you compete with somebody that filters all their photos and changes them and face tunes them and to the point where it doesn't even look like them anymore? And then you see it and it makes you feel shit about yourself. But how do you feel now that maybe you're doing a bit better and your self-esteem is high and you can post and people clap for you? But what do you think about it, Ona?
It's hard, like, to kind of summarise it into one. Like you just said, there is that many like angles you can go at with it. You could say it's like people are doing it for comparison reasons. People are doing it to feel like their feelings are not verified. Like people are saying like, oh no, you should feel that way, blah blah blah. Or I think the biggest part of it, maybe not the biggest, but I would say the biggest negative to it is the insecurities behind it and the no even editing of photos, just exactly what you said, that life isn't like that. But you've perceived life to be like that. But no for anybody else, for you. So like, if you were to upload like the way that you say people put up, I'm leaving targeting them because I put up dumps, but I dumpy something right over the course of a month and it's like blah, blah, blah. And you know somebody personally say they put it up and things have been hard, blah, 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 that's that next time. They're uploading stuff that's really good to make them feel good, great, that's brand new. But you also get the people that will do this to incite that they're doing better than you kind of thing. If you know what I mean. Like, probably a bit dated example now, but can you remember people used to always upload like their bottles of vodka in nightclubs? Do you know what I'm talking about? It'd be like, I've got a bottle of Ciroc, ha ha. I'm like, mate, I don't fucking care, man. I've got a bottle of Glens, shut it. But it's, I feel like that's so bad.
Yeah.
If that's what you seek, if that's where you seek validation, and the people that comment and everything else that comes with it, I feel like for me that's no something that I can ever deal with. I've had too many, like we've spoke about, too many highs after too much negatives, mate. I don't need any more highs after that. I don't, like, in the nicest way, and I appreciate everybody's been so supportive of me, and I really do appreciate it. But everything I upload, I try to be as real as I can in it. I really, really mean that. I do, honestly. Sometimes it's like everything else, I don't want everything to be too personal either.
No.
Sometimes, like, I upload things because I'm like, oh, that's class, blah, 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 whatever else.
I've also got sort of my things that I like to keep for myself, because I know fine well that social media isn't real life, and I want whoever is in my life to know parts of me that are just because it's, like I said, a lot of it on there is just snippets.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think it's actually nice to just leave things to imagination as well, rather than people pouring their life into it. I also think there's a huge influx of people, influencers, whatever you want to call them, that prey on insecurities, and they'll go on, and it's like they know that a high percentage of people sitting behind that phone will feel poor about themselves, or they will have low self-esteem, and they'll lean into that a wee bit. And that's the kind of message me and you always try and let out, like, do what makes you feel good.
Yeah.
And be aware that people might try and drag you down to a level that probably won't be good for you. So when I'm ever on social media, I'm taking it with a pinch of salt.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think you need to, because it's all, like you said, it's just all perceptions.
Aye.
Really, when you're consuming that stuff, it's just how you perceive it. And you could perceive it that they've got this amazing life, or you could actually give yourself a reality check of, hold on, like, it might look like they've got a great life, but I don't see the other like 90% of what goes on in their day, or how they don't talk about how they feel, or the argument that they've had with their boyfriend.
That's exactly what I
yesterday.
mean.
Do you know
That's,
what I mean?
I think that's the biggest thing about like people perceiving it in a negative sense. That, I think that's exactly what I was trying to say, but I just couldn't really work out what it was. That's it.
Also got to remember that we're all fucked up.
Aye.
And I know that sounds, and that's good in some ways, because it gives the opportunity to seek counselling, go to the gym, try a wee bit harder in life, go and lean into something and feel better about yourself. But I think when you're on social media too much, you get this image when you're feeling bad at the moment that everybody else has got it all worked out, and it's important to remember we don't.
No.
And I think it's a constant reminder. You've got to keep reminding yourself, whether you are so-called best shape of your life, or you think there's this image that people will portray to try and deflect how they really feel. I think when it all kind of relates back to where, how do you truly feel? What energy do you give out? Because I've seen it as well. I've seen people who might look amazing, bodybuilder wise or fitness wise, and I don't know if it's maybe because I now feel good about myself that I don't want to say I feel sorry for them doing that, but I kind of go, there's something not right with you. I don't know if it's maybe the energy they give off or whatever, but I can see that you don't need to go down that route. You don't have to be pressing everybody else that, like, screaming, whether that's through images or through voice, that you are all right and you've got it all worked out, is just a big red flag for me now.
Right.
I think, but like, confidently silent is probably the biggest telltale sign that you are slowly kind of working on yourself. And social media doesn't give you that. It's almost like, again, if I scream at the top of my voice that I'm the fucking man, then I might just convince enough people, when really you've got to believe it yourself.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it doesn't always feel authentic, I don't think.
No.
When people are posting that everything's all good all the time, because whose life is like that?
You don't want it to be either. I think that's also, me and him talk about it all the time, like relating back to the thing where I say good. Life's tough, somebody's threw it at you. Me and him believe in God, so it's like that kind of, you can't have the good bit of it. There's always the good comes with the bad. Everyone's a trade-off.
Aye. I think everything that you do has that. I think I'm a big believer in that, mate. No matter what it is, like something small, something big, like everything comes. It's something that I've learned for working with you and just this whole kind of process, which was something I wasn't willing to accept before. Again, going back to that, that's something that I wasn't willing to do.
No.
Something that I wanted, like,
even for the social media background, like, people post even if it's positive, and you need to realise nowadays what we're doing right now, we're not just talking as free people anymore, whereas maybe years ago it was you had to worry about 20 people in your life that you had a view over. So your confidence, self-esteem, it all kind of came from there. Pushing yourself out and talking to potentially millions of people, you're going to get there's going to be opinions up there that people don't agree with, or they just don't align with it.
Yeah.
But people go and they post on social media and they're like, oh, why me? Like, why you slaughtering me? Why are you doing this? And really, you've took that trade off. You've chose to do that. So it's important, I think, whatever we do, like, you one, be authentic, and two, decide that that's what I actually want, rather than you need to accept the things that will come with it. But obviously relating back to, and we'll keep trying to do that today, like self-esteem, confidence. Somebody's on social media, they're feeling a bit shit about themselves. What would be coping mechanisms if somebody was to come in and see you and that was a problem? How would they try and go, right, what makes this better?
Yeah. And I know it's going to be the most like basic answer, but honestly, you need to consume less of it. You need to look at things that are actually going to bring you fulfillment or positive sources of information. So if you're spending loads of time scrolling and you're feeling it's just bringing you down because you're comparing to other people's lives, like, you need to go and seek joy out with that. You need to actually do things that are going to, again, bringing it back to like the things you inherently want for your life, bring it back to that. And I think also, I had said this to you the other week, unfollow folk who are not positive. Like, there are lots of people on, I'm thinking more about Instagram just now, but there are lots of people on social media who are posting positive content. It is authentic.
Yep.
It does feel like it gives you something. It's educational or it's motivational, all these things. Follow those people. If there's people that you are looking at thinking like that's just making me feel bad, don't follow them. Like, I had a period maybe like last year where I went through and unfollowed a whole wad of influencers because it was all coming down to like comparison of body image.
Yep.
And it was getting ridiculous. Like, and for me, I just had to say, well, do you know what? I have to unfollow these people because I might never ever look like them, and that's all right.
Yep.
But consuming it all the time is just reinforcing the fact that I might never look like that. So you have to step away for sure.
Two important points you made there. One, from a professional, isn't it ironic? And this is why, again, there are things that we would say. Mm-hmm. This is why we got you on as well today, because one, you experience the things that we all do. Oh, yeah. We're all human. Yep. We all have these things. And two, these simple things are the truth, but helps. And we all go to turn to social media or anything in those cases as a way of coping or try to hide things. There we go. There's a professional telling us that less of it is better for you. So what more do you need? Like, it is, and that tells you everything you need to know about it. It's there to have parts of your life, but it's not there to be consumed. And you'll know more better than me that, in my experience, the more you lean into it, the worse your quality of life is going to be. I think, as you said, social media, it's a big thing that we will always relate back to because it's something that's always going to be there.
Aye, it's relevant, mate, and it's always got to be relevant in that case, probably for the rest of their life. Like, it's never gone anywhere. See, when I first started training in the very beginning, mate, can you remember? I never had Instagram for like 10 months.
Yep.
The better part of a year. Like, I just was like, fuck that shit. I was like, I am off ski. Deleted it, and I didn't miss it one bit. I genuinely didn't miss it one bit, and it's something that I thought I would have been pure stressed about. That 10-month period, like I say this to people, but I think we've spoke about this before. Obviously, depending on kind of what situation, man, you give yourself a good year at something. 1 year, putting in a good amount of work at anything that you want to achieve, you'll get a decent chunk done. Yep. And for that year, like the first year when I started off, I actually didn't lose that much weight in the amount of months. But up there, mate, everything changed. Everything gave me the path to go and do that. And
you did. Done a great job.
Well,
you're certainly short here. Come on.
No.
You want to tell when you put on weight the first couple of months of it?
No, I don't. I don't mean it like that. You know, I don't mean it like that. And essentially, like, how dramatic the weight drop was in the year that followed that was crazy. Because it was like, I prepared myself.
That's better.
I prepared myself.
10 stone, you ungrateful cunt.
I prepared myself for what had to come, kind of thing, mate.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that we spoke about. That's something that we worked on for quite a while, mate. I think I'm giving you coaching accolades here. It's more than just get up and get off your arse and go and do it. No, I mean, there was that time period, mate, where I had to set everything in motion in my head, and I couldn't do it because I was on Instagram looking at shite all the time, comparing myself. No good.
How much, obviously, you talk about the kind of positives that can come from Instagram, which I'm totally a believer in. You sometimes get the people and they're waiting for something to happen. They look at the motivational videos, they follow all the pages, they've done all the work that you're saying or we're saying is good, but there's not this action phase where you get you can, like, motivation won't come unless there's this bit, but you just get up and do it, and the situation or the circumstance will never be right. It's just you need to go, or perfect, should I say. There has to be an action phase behind it, and that won't come from an Instagram post or whatever it is. In my opinion, it comes from bravery. Yeah. And I relate back to him or anything I've ever done. There's an element of bravery in that, as in some ways just pretending that you're confident and you've got it, and that can be seen as bravery as well, and just going for it. Right now, it's easy to sit and say, oh, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. I shared the video you sent me the other day, and it was telling about all the things that he'd done or he was going to do in the following year. And do you know what? It was so powerful because he'd done it. Mm-hmm. Apart from pass his driving test, he's not passed that yet. You man child. But do you know what I mean? It was like, there was the action phase behind it. It's all right sitting and you've got all, see all the time you guys like shouting, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And I'm a bit like, put money where your mouth is.
Yeah, for sure. I always will say that to clients, or it's sometimes a frustrating part of one-to-one support, because you can want so much for people.
Yep.
But you can't want more for them than they want for themselves. So if they are not going to go and try and make the changes, even just small ones, because we talk about this and make it sound as if it's easy to make these changes. It's definitely not, but you have to want it for yourself. You have to be the one that's motivated, and you have to go and do it. Even if it's just a wee bit, it's still better than nothing. And
what I'd probably add to that, just for my life experience as well, that see the people around you, when you just start to do something that we touch better, they realise it beyond belief. Yeah. And please believe us when they say, when you start to positively impact your own life, you have all the support of it, because that's deep down, that's all we really want for people. Like, we want to see the people we love doing better. Mm-hmm. So when you start to just lean into that a wee touch, you have so much support around you. And I think that's always good to remember as well. Like,
yeah, lean on the people around you. Like, lean on the people that you maybe aspire to be like, or who give you that validation, or who support you in whatever endeavour you're trying to achieve. Yeah, I think that's super important. You need to have support and connection around you to support the goals that you've got.
I would believe in that. Like, even if they're not in my life or they are now, see people that I know that are positively better. Like, it just fills you with so much joy knowing that they're not dragging themselves down. They're on a better path. Yep. I think that's all we kind of look for in life as well. People to get on a bit. You don't want to look back in 5 years' time and either be in a worse situation or the same. Mm-hmm. Like, life's for challenging yourself, doing new things, trying different things. Always kind of, me and him, we set out goals because I want him to be in a place in a couple of years' time where he looks back and he just feels the same way he feels it now. I want that to continue.
Aye.
That comes through that action period. So.
You ever been for counselling?
I've not, no. My views on it totally changed. Yeah. When I was younger, it's a bit like, nah, I'll deal with my own demons. And I think now, for what I've seen with it, it's helped people that I care about so much that I just think it's such an incredible thing that people go and do. My views just myself is, personally, I've not needed it, but I'm always if I can't turn up the way that I want to in life, like all the things we spoke about, and I can't deliver who I am as a man or whatever, then I would then seek it. Because it's not, in my views, it's you're training a part of your mind to make your body and everything else better, your full life better. So as I've matured, I've realised that it's more than that, and it's gave so many people I know that ability to be so much better, and I'm so proud of them for that. So if I'm always kind of open to the fact as well as, like, and I've said this to you before, like, I kind of go with the saying is tomorrow might be your turn. So be empathetic to anyone that's in situations, because you don't know what's around the corner for you.
No.
So if that ever came to light for me, I wouldn't think twice to go in and searching that, because like we spoke about, it's an action phase.
Yeah.
You've got an issue, turn round, and I think the most attractive thing in the world is to turn around and face it. And it's the, like we spoke about today, it's probably the only way to sort it is to obviously face your demons.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever done counselling?
I've been asked to do it and recommended to do it when I was younger and in school, but I never done it. But I think that goes kind of back to what he was saying, like the no facing my demons. And if I did, I genuinely believe that I wouldn't have had anywhere near as much struggles later down the line. Because there would have been a lot of things that would have been not even nipped in the bud. I wouldn't even say it in that way, but evaluated, and I would be able to understand why I was doing X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
At the end up, I was off school for like nearly a year, like in and out. I was hardly there. Do you know what I mean? That was no like through behaviour or anything like that. I didn't know, but it was through my mental health at the time. But I wasn't aware of that.
Yep.
Like my mum had passed away, and I was like fine, and I was like, that's like my mum's mum. And I was like really, really close with her, and I was sound through that whole time. Like I never cried or anything like that, and it wasn't even like a massive thing. I just didn't have any. So weird. Like I never had any feeling towards it, which is strange to think now, because I get mad emotional like when I'm talking about it or whatever. But the like maybe 13, 14 months, 2 months after that happened, that followed that, I was just a wreck. And I just didn't know how to deal with my emotions. And I wasn't smoking or anything like that at the time. It was just like food, gaming. I didn't want to leave the house. It was so strange. But no, I haven't. And I wish I did. Genuinely wish I did.
Yeah.
And if I feel like I ever needed something like that, I would still. I don't think there's any shame in any sort of that. And if you're a younger guy, I feel like that's will be the first thing that comes to mind.
I think it's obviously important to, I know male suicide rates are obviously higher in the statistics. What I always kind of, what gets me with the therapy side of things, I don't think, it's not a shame at all, but we see, what I'm looking for, totally lost my train of thought there.
Drop the ego as a guy kind of thing? Is that what you're got to...
No. I find it so impressive when young people go for counselling. Why? Because this is the best years of your life.
Yeah.
And you're going to waste them all instead of turning around and facing them. And you think if you can deal with it, and again, if you're in your 20s and you go and get that skill set to do that, same way of getting in shape or anything else, you have got that ability for your full life, and you can pass that on to your kids. You can turn up better. Quality of life is going to be unbelievably better, and that's what I kind of say, or kind of have in my head. Is that what it's going to take? Are you going to waste your full life away before you realise that you could have dealt with this, and you're probably better at dealing with it now? And is that, like, it could be a generational curse thing? You could be the one to change all this. You could be the one to make life everything you ever imagined.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think especially now for younger people or people our age, go. Even if you don't necessarily have challenges that you're facing right there and then, counselling is not exclusively for people who are going through a really, really hard time. When I went, so when you're training as a counsellor, a lot of the courses you need to go and have your own therapy. So I went, and of course, like I had things that had happened in my life that were traumatic and difficult, but not huge amounts of them. So we covered that quite quickly. Like you have to do like over 40 hours of counselling for my course anyway. So it got to a point where I said to my counsellor, like, I'm not really sure what I'm bringing here, but I need to be here. So like, you know, could we just maybe do some work exploring who I am and try to understand myself a bit better? And that has helped me massively, like way more than dealing with the difficult things that we did in the first few sessions. That was helpful too, but actually understanding myself has improved my relationships, my communication, the way I view myself as well. I just have a lot more compassion for myself because I now have an understanding of why I do certain things. And sometimes I'll try and do things differently. And then if I fall into old habits, I'm like, right, well, okay, you know about that now. So let's not be too hard on yourself because you've been like that for a long time. We're trying to change. So
Yep. I also kind of, I'm not saying I find it funny, but you ever meet the people and they're never done telling their business to absolutely everybody? So I've got to say now, you don't air your dirty laundry in public. You got things to sort out, you do it between your loved ones, whatever it is. But people are willing to go around and tell their business to every person in the world who, quite frankly, they go and tell other people, and there's never an intention behind it. But you won't go and sort it or get to maybe the root causes with somebody that is capable of doing it. Isn't that, like, when you put it that way, quite, does that make sense?
yeah.
You could go and come to you. You've now got the skill set that these things don't hang me. You're simply, like, if you're talking to, maybe sometimes you're just telling your mate. Of course, in some situations that helps, but it's not dealing with something that you know is holding you back in life.
Yeah. And I'd be curious in that case of if people are going around talking to people about how they feel or whatever, are they keeping it quite surface level? Is there a fear of if you go to counselling, you're maybe going to be pushed a wee bit more to go in depth because it's painful and people don't want to do that. So sometimes they will coast up here rather than dealing with things down here. But I think like what the point you made about going just now, my counsellor actually said that to me. You know, she said a lot of my clients come when they're in their 50s, 60s, and they've had the issues that have been long standing through their whole life, and they've waited till now to come, and they've maybe debated it, but they've never quite got round to it. And imagine being able to actually be more free of these things earlier on in life. Imagine how different that could make your life.
And that's terrifying.
It's not, might not be your fault, but it's your responsibility.
Aye.
Yeah.
I think that's something I always kind of lean on, and I will add that anyone that has done that work at any level or any age, like, unbelievable from you.
Yeah.
Like, because there is a lot of people that don't, and they in some ways ruin their full life. And the fact that you've done that is, you are fucking incredible. So, like, hats off to them for that. If somebody does want to come to counselling with you, what would they gain for it?
I suppose it depends what they're bringing, but I always say the biggest thing people take away from counselling, or they should take away from counselling, is an increased self-awareness. And that's huge, because I think once we have the knowledge about ourselves, you can't unknow things. So you can only choose what you do with that. You can either use it to better yourself or to change habits or beliefs that have been limiting you, to push yourself forward. You can form new habits. You can deal with old trauma. Like, I can only see the benefits of going and speaking to someone, you know, and the things you'll come away with, hopefully, if you put the work in, should be like tenfold.
Yep.
You know, but it does require folk to show up for themselves. Just going to the counselling is not enough. I need to stress that.
Well, you find obviously truth's important. In any case, like, if you tell the truth, the right thing's meant to happen. In counselling, is there ever any cases where people kind of maybe just lie their way through it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. Like, I don't think it's like they're lying out of badness. It's that they maybe don't want to admit the truth to themselves, or they want to do that thing of appearing like everything's all good, nothing to see here. Do you know, like, we'll keep moving through it. But if you've built a good enough relationship with someone in counselling, as a counsellor, you should be able to spot when that's happening, and then, I suppose, bring it into the room.
Aye, good. I think we've got a tradition on this podcast, Amy, where we've got two. But our first one is me and Tommy ask each other questions normally.
Yeah.
And when we've got a guest on, we write the questions ourselves and we ask you them. So if you don't mind, me and Tommy have both done a question each. Tommy, I'll let you read yours out.
Yep.
And go with that. I hope it's nothing provocative, son.
I wouldn't do that to you. I would date to you though.
I fucking know you'd date me.
Fucking done some terrible ones to me, mate. What is your definition of happiness?
Ooh. Being fulfilled. So, like, being able to do the things that bring you fulfillment, being able to be with the people who bring fulfillment to your life, that for me is real happiness. If you're able to find joy in small things and spend time with loved ones, that is really happiness.
Love that, mate.
Yeah.
Class.
Good. Mine's is, when it comes to therapy, will having a big ego and caring what others think of you hold you back from getting better?
I don't. You will be able to make improvements, but you will definitely need to do some work on that if that is something that's holding you back. So yeah, I think having a big ego and caring a lot about external validation will not be helping what's going on here.
Right.
And if you really want to address that, then yes, you will need to do work on it, 100%.
So do you think anyone can I drop that pride a wee bit? If you need to come in and see if I'm going to need help, it's I think the phrase I always use with you, like, pride cares what's right. Sorry, pride cares about who's right. Humility cares about what's right.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to improve on yourself, you're going to need to just let your guard down a wee touch, let things go, and say, do you know what? This will long term have a good impact on me.
Yeah, definitely. And I think as well, like counselling, it's just two people sitting in a room.
Aye,
In a
it's this.
conversation. It's kind of like this. And I think people have an idea that it's really serious and really clinical feeling, and like it's not. Like I have a laugh with my clients, like things, you talk about other things, it's not all serious all the time, but yeah, you need to be able to sort of leave some of that stuff at the door when you come in if you want to really make progress.
I think we can associate with Tony Soprano, Dr. Melfi, like just sitting.
Aye, no, you're right, 100%, man. Like that for guys should, like, honestly, if you take a step back and look at that for like a deeper view, that for guys should be, especially men that consider themselves like sort of
Consider yourself a wise guy.
aye, man, like I'm too cool, I'm
You're
too
a
good,
schmuck.
whatever. but ain't like that, mate. It is actually
so
crazy,
you've
the
got
deeper
this-
meaning behind that. Do you know what I mean?
Sopranos is like that. There's
Aye.
so much meaning behind it,
Aye,
but you've got that alpha male
yep,
New York gangster still needs therapy,
aye,
because no matter what he's got, the power he has or he thinks he has, he's got issues.
yep,
Like probably relating back to where I fucked up,
aye.
which is good.
We've all got our own stuff, our own
Because
shit.
we can sit
Aye.
and have a blether and sort it out if we need to. And we need to go to the gym if we want to get ourselves in better shape. If we kick ourselves that we've looked and compared each other on Instagram,
Yep.
we're all human. But knowing how to deal with those issues when they come around, and ironically they're going to just keep coming round all through life, is the most important thing. Is can you deal with it? And when you do, you put yourself back in line to feel good about yourself.
Yeah.
On that note, pit stop. Brian Steele has dropped us in the new Perform bar. Wait a second.
Oh, mate, I'm starving and all,
Are you a
man.
protein bar kind of person?
Not really.
Right, well, we've got Dubai chocolate. You tried Dubai chocolate?
No.
Right, well,
I'm not
this is
doing
the
it,
standard, so... Taste test, Tommy boy. Make sure you track this.
Do I need to? See, that's the biggest.
No, I know you fucking went for the biggest bit there.
well,
You've got it now.
Aye.
Your wee painted paws on it. Name it.
Is there a small bit?
Here, it smells brilliant, by the way.
Pit stopper now, stocking these. Code.
TNT 10.
There we go. If you want to try them.
Oh, that's what I'm on about, man. Any made of that? That's magic, mate. That's absolutely amazing.
I think that's the best. Brian said to me it's the best protein bar he's ever tried. Now I agree.
Oh, you're joking me.
Think that tastes like a protein bar?
No, I think it's got a lot of the pistachio coming through. Not that I'm an expert.
I'm allergic
Maybe
to
that
nuts.
sounds like somebody on MasterChef there. No. I would eat that.
Should have
Okay.
asked you if you had any allergies just as well.
Mate,
End up with EpiPen out.
all the protein bars that Perform are doing are immense. Have you tried the jammy biscuit one?
No.
Half it's rocking, mate. Mental. So it is.
Right.
I guarantee you in the next couple of years, you walk into an ice cream shop and that'll be sitting tapping ice cream. Mate. It's actually that good. Genuinely, it's banging. So it is, man.
Right, well, what we'll do is we'll do our last wee bit of the podcast. Then we'll head down. We'll pick up some protein bars for pit stop. But maybe another tradition is our this or that. I don't know if you've seen it on social media.
I have.
What I do here now is I sit with a imaginary timer, and we just run till all the questions are done.
Okay.
So
it's like quick fire.
quick fire. Tommy shouts them. 1 word answers. You tell me when you're ready.
Right, let's go for it.
3, 2, 1, go.
Weights or cardio?
Cardio.
Upper or lower?
Upper.
Socks on or socks off?
On.
Starbucks or that pistachio's getting me. Starbucks or Costa?
Costa.
Beach or pool?
Ooh, beach.
McDonald's or KFC?
McDonald's.
Chinese or Indian?
Indian.
Nightclub or bar?
Bar.
Summer holiday or winter holiday?
Summer.
Wine or vodka?
Vodka.
Nando's or Pepe's?
Nando's.
Pit stop or My Protein?
Pit stop.
Well done. Football or boxing?
Football.
Date night in or date night out?
Date night out.
Pasta or steak?
Pasta.
Missionary or reverse
Oh,
cowboy?
right, we're done.
Right, okay.
I might put that one in. We've got a lady on the podcast
I know,
today,
it's
sir.
a tradition, but man, you've got to ask.
Fucking hell, mate. First,
Sorry, mate.
first female on the podcast.
Oh, come on, man. It's
No, we can.
Nah, no.
Just as well that timer ran out there, Tommy.
I know. You're right.
Time out. On that front, Amy, we anyone that wants to get in contact with you, could you just give us a wee Instagram where they can find you?
Yeah. So Instagram, the Celestine Counsellor. Similar Facebook, Celestine Counselling. All the details are on there about how to book in for appointments or inquiries or anything like that. So, yeah.
Good. I think, like I said to you at the start, like, this was always the plan for us. Something that we feel so strongly about. Just with us working together, friendship we've built, just the podcast as well, and the message we want to send out. So it's been an absolute honour to have you on. We really do appreciate you coming on. And let Tommy say his bit, and then we'll get up out of here and enjoy the sun.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. Thank you, guys.
Mate, it's been great having you on. I'm absolutely buzzing, mate. I think people will take a lot away from it. I definitely took a lot away from it the day today.
Yeah,
So,
I hope so.
aye, buzzing, man. And a big thanks to all the TNT fans for the love and support for the last podcast. It done pretty well. So I'm sure we'll have a look at possibly doing another mental stories podcast in the future.
I don't know about that.
We'll see how it goes. Anyway, if you're going to pit stop, use code TNT10 and we better get up and get out.
Let's do it, son.
Get
Thanks
up.
again, mate.
Thank you.